Corsair K70 Max. For players seeking to extend their advantage as much as possible in multiplayer games, look no further. The Corsair K70 Max is the best competitive gaming keyboard we've tested. Corsair has finally jumped on the bandwagon and installed magnetic switches, known as Hall effect, inside its popular K70 series of keyboards. One of the primary competitive features on the K70 Max is its 8000 Hz polling rate. This quite simply means the keyboard registers any inputs 8 times faster than an average gaming keyboard at around 1000 Hz. You probably won't notice a difference, but it has the potential to prevent any small delay that could occur once you hit a key. Of course, the rest of the features expected of a Corsair keyboard are present and accounted for here. A volume wheel, dedicated media keys, loads of profiles, and customization options through iCUE. There's also heaps of vibrant RGB LED stuff behind the keys. Asus ROG Azoth. The Asus ROG Azoth is the Taiwanese tech giant's first real enthusiast gaming keyboard, and, honestly, it's a doozy. That's a technical term which translates as a quality keyboard that ticks all the boxes, then draws in some more at the bottom of the list, and ticks those off too. Asus is no stranger to mechanical keyboards. I've tested a bunch of its previous ROG Mech boards, even its almost smart hybrid Claymore board, which got ahead of Mountain in the detachable numpad game, but failed to make it stick. I mean, literally. The floppy attachment of the extra keypad was one of the reasons I hated it so much. But it's only really ever just dipped its toes into the enthusiast keyboard market. Well, the ROG Azoth is Asus going in with both feet, which is no real surprise, given the burgeoning market for high-end custom keyboards. It is, though, offering everything you could possibly want from an enthusiast keyboard. The build quality is absolutely exceptional, and the weight of the Azoth is extreme, and I love it for that. It's also been built with all the pre-lubed, gasketed, dampened trimmings you'll want for that premium typing experience. And premium it is. The Azoth is a delight to tap away on, even more so now that I've completely replaced all of the supplied ROG NX switches the board shipped with. Not that they're bad at all. The custom linear mechanical switches are Cherry MX Red analogs, but do have a nice feel. No, it's just that I've got a bunch of delightful Halo True switches that I bought to go into my Mountain Everest Max board. That board's been retired in favor of the Everest 60, and I've left the Mountain tactile switches in place. Keychron K2, version 2. The best budget wireless gaming keyboard comes from a brand you might not be overly familiar with. The Keychron K2 has all the makings of a decent little wireless mechanical keyboard, however, and it's wonderfully affordable. The Keychron K2 has marked itself out as a marvelous entry-level keyboard that can act as a gateway into the wider world of mechanicals. It's a simple mechanical keyboard in a 75% format that's less keys than a full-size board, but isn't quite as tough to get to grips with as a 60%. In essence, the Keychron K2 is a handy entry-level mechanical keyboard, and for $69 or so, you can't necessarily go wrong. Its build quality is decent with a nice bit of weight, and the triple device connectivity is handy if you're flitting between devices over the course of a working day. With that said, though, sometimes it can feel like a cheap keyboard. Light switches with an audible ping and standard lighting presets don't help it too much in some cases. Logitech G915 Lightspeed. The Logitech G915 is the best wireless gaming keyboard, but let's not entirely ignore that our number one pick, the Asus ROG Strix Scope 296, which is also wireless and absolutely worth considering. But we're talking about the G915 here, and it's a familiar sight for yours truly. I've been using it for my past 100,000 words or so, with Logitech's excellent Lightspeed wireless technology behind it. I've never run into any issues with the wireless connection on this board. It's snappy and responsive as any wired model on the desktop, and you can expect the same performance out of it while you're lazing on the sofa. I love a clicky switch, and the G915 is available with low-profile clicky switches that sounds great and are super responsive. That initially came as a bit of a surprise, as the first wave of truly mechanical low-profile switches kinda sucked. These don't, however, and my many hours using this keyboard for writing stories over a span of a couple of years should attest to that. I'd go as far to say this is the best low-profile gaming keyboard I've used to date, too. As with most Logitech gear, the G915 has a sleek design. It's made up of mostly a top plate of brushed metal, though the underside is a black plastic. The keycaps are ABS plastic, and mine are a bit shiny now after years of use. The downside here being once these keycaps break, it might be trickier to get a replacement versus a more traditional cherry switch stem. Asus ROG Strix Scope 296 Wireless. The best gaming keyboard is the Asus ROG Strix Scope 296 Wireless, and it's rare that a keyboard is such an all-round joy to use as this is. There are faster, smarter, even cheaper boards. You'll find all of those recommendations below, but the Strix Scope 296 Wireless brings together many of the features we're looking for in a modern gaming keyboard. Firstly, some of the smoothest mechanical switches in the biz. You can pick between ROG branded NX Snow or NX Storm switches in this board. I've been using the Snow switches, which are your regular linear dealio with an actuation force of 45 grams. Though the Storm switches are a moderately heavier tactile option, these switches alone aren't anything special, but a little lube goes a long way. Not one of the usual things we'd find on a gaming keyboard, but a drop of lube on every mechanical key switch makes a surprising amount of difference to the typing experience. Each key press is smooth, consistent, and every thwack produces a glorious clack. The Scope 296 is nearly a full-size board. It importantly retains a full numpad, though it's been squished down into a more compact chassis. As a result, the delete key is further away from your pinky than normal. It takes some getting used to, but I've been tapping away on it for a couple of weeks now, and I feel I've got typing on the Scope 296 down to a fine art. Still, it's been a long time since I've been blown away by a gaming keyboard, so many seemed carbon copies of what Corsair did 10 years ago, but the Scope 296 is mighty impressive. It focuses on nailing the actual mechanics of a mechanical gaming keyboard. Importantly, it's also great for gaming, and doesn't cost anywhere near as much as its smaller, more premium sibling, the Robozoff.